Test the mic, test the mic, test the mic. Hello, test the mic, hello, test the mic.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Mike. Welcome. How are you today?
I am well. Give me 1 second. Let me get to a screen that's clear and easy to see you on. There we are. Let's see. Remind me your name before you go live.
Oh yeah, Gordon Fletcher.
Gordon, sorry, I'm terrible with names. So
Yeah, Gordon Fletcher. Yeah. Hello. Welcome to this episode of the Magnet Podcast Show. Today we are very privileged to have as our guest Mike Blumenthal. He's the founding partner at GatherUp. GatherUp makes customer experience the backbone of your business by using reviews and customer feedback. Mike, welcome.
thank you very much for having me. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, Mike has a lot of experience, and you guys are in for a treat today. He's an alumnus of University of Michigan, Ann Arbor.
Barely. I just want to note that I kind of cheated to get out of there and get a degree, but I did get out of there and get a degree, sort of. So
okay, great. You see, Mike is a very humble guy. You see, he's very humble. So yeah. Mike. So is there anything you want the audience to know before we take it from there?
This is my 5th career. I love what I'm doing. I think feedback and improving businesses is a high calling, and I have fun every day of my life. So beyond that, ask away.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Mike, you are one of the foremost SEO experts. And what do you do as regards SEO and reputation management in your work at GatherUp?
So the idea behind GatherUp is sort of goes beyond just the idea of getting reviews. The idea is that reviews are a rich source of data, and that we want to help businesses get more of their own reviews, as well as gather up all the reviews from around the web, and then assemble them in a way that they can extract understanding to allow them to better manage their business, and to allow them to use the reviews that they gather directly and the reviews from around the web to further their marketing. So we see reviews as much more than just sort of getting more at Google. We see them as part of a ongoing improvement for businesses, and we see them as a way to improve your business by understanding what people really think about you. Part of the problem with reviews at Google and Yelp are that only the people that are very happy and the people that are very sad, unhappy, leave them. But there's all sorts of people in the middle. So our system makes an effort to understand all of your customers, to create a loop between you and your customers, so that you as the business owner really knows what they're thinking and can take action on.
Yeah, so in a way, you just mentioned first-party reviews and third-party reviews. Are you a big advocate for first-party reviews?
I am. Google and Yelp have had all the fun in the review space. I think it's time for businesses to take control of their own data. First-party reviews have a number of benefits. Firstly, in fact, I wrote an article that title of, I love first-party reviews so much I might just marry them.
Oh, great.
But one is they give you a better understanding of what your customers are really thinking. Like I said, third-party reviews tend to skew really positive or really negative. So it gives you a better understanding of business. Secondly, it gives you great content for your website. One of the things we do with GatherUp is we allow you to easily and automatically segment your first-party review content. So, for example, I have a client, Barbara Oliver, who I typically use. She sells engagement rings. She sells has jewelry appraisals. She has custom design services. She can automatically segment her review content so that all the ones about engagement rings and wedding rings go out to her engagement ring page. One of the problems in local websites is a lot of businesses have trouble generating original content. Well, who better to give you content than your happiest customers? They can say things in a way that the business can't say it. They can create SEO relevant content on long tail pages in a way that Google loves. And not only do those reviews add content to the pages, they add rich snippet stars to the search results. And when a user gets to those pages, they help provide social proof, so they help in your conversion. So I see all the way from understanding more about what your customers need and want to then leveraging that to extend the content of your website, to improving your market through review stars and conversions. To me, first-party reviews offer a lot of benefit, and I don't think any business should miss that benefit. It's easy enough to do it.
Yeah. Mike, I'm happy you sort of nailed this one down, because a lot of people, when they think of reviews, they think of Google, Yelp, Facebook, and all the other third-party reviews. So I'm glad you've really mentioned this so that the audience will now know it's better to, go more for first-party reviews, which is one that they can generate themselves with the help of companies like GatherUp.
Well, I wouldn't say it's better. I would just say it's part of an overall strategy. And just as a note, I think GatherUp's a great piece of software. I've worked really hard on it for the last 5 years. But you could do the same thing with Gravity Forms, for example, on a WordPress site, where you could send people to give you feedback, and then that feedback could then flow out to your website. So obviously we automate a lot of that process and we make it easy, but we're not the only way to do it. I think we do it better than any other sort of package on the market. And again, I don't think that first-party reviews are the exclusion of third-party reviews. I think you need your reviews every place. When you do one of the things that Google does now in a brand, when you do a brand search around your business at Google, and you type in Barbara Oliver Jewelry, Williamsville, Google has elevated all of the sites that show your reviews. So Barbara Oliver might have reviews on her own web. She may have them at Google. She may have them at Yelp. She may have them at Facebook, Wedding Wire, The Knot, and various other sites. When you do a brand search, Google brings all of that stuff into a single view for the consumer. So when the consumer is deciding to buy your business, I think it's what the goal of every business is, to tell the same story across all of those sites. You don't want a 2.5 at Yelp and a 5.0 on your website. You want 4.2 at Yelp and 4.3 at Google. You want a consistent story, so that Google collates all that information into a single view that is represented by a brand search. You can tell a compelling story so that the consumer doesn't need to go check. Part of the problem is if they see a low score one place and a high score other, they're going to get cold feet. What you want to do as a business is create a great business, so you earn these good reviews. And two, you want reviews everywhere, including your site, including Yelp, including Google, so that image you portray is compelling. And the user then stops right at the Google result and calls you pre-sold.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think Google also gives more prominence to your own reviews, which is the first-party review.
It depends. Sometimes they do it. Google, Google is a machine and Google is an algorithm. So sometimes they'll give your reviews preference. Sometimes they'll give Yelp reviews preference. It depends on where you search and how you search. So from where I sit, it needs to be a long haul game, something you do for 3 or 5 years. Business improvement, which leads to good reviews, is something that every business should be doing all the time. Asking for feedback and understanding how you're doing and how your employees are doing and how your products are accepted is something you should be doing all the time. And then an outcome of that is then that you have reviews across the web everywhere. So no matter how somebody searches for you on Google whether it's a keyword search like unique engagement rings in Buffalo, or whether it's Barbara Oliver jewelry, all of those views show the best you.
Okay. And are you a big advocate for structured data?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not so much. Let's see. So first thing about structured data, I think, is that there's no sense in doing it if Google isn't going to show that particular structured data type. So the first thing you want to do is understand which data types Google is showing. So review data, packages up all of its review data into schema JSON files and delivers it to your website, so that all of that encoding is done automatically for you. But events, for example, Google loves events. They show them in the knowledge panel. Google loves review markup. But if they're not using them, and there's a lot of markup that Google doesn't use, I don't think a business should go to the trouble of marking up everything under the sun. I think they should watch Google. If Google is displaying it in a meaningful way, then they should mark that up. And reviews certainly is something, and we mark that up for you, so you don't have to worry about getting the schema correct.
Okay, yeah. And one thing most local businesses ignore is even the name of their business, the address, and the phone number. Sometimes on one website they have a different phone number. You go and you read something about them on another site, and they have a distance. So there's no consistency, and I think that also impacts reviews and other experience on the web. Is it something you can share something on that, or if you have an opinion on that?
Well, in the early days of Google Local, what we called NAP consistency, name, address, and phone plus website consistency, was absolutely critical so that Google would understand who you were, where you were. That has become a little less so. That being said, certainly name consistency for me is critical, not so much from Google's point of view, but from a branding point of view. I think that a lot of businesses these days see that if you name your business Denver Signs Near Me, I found a business that actually did that, that they will rank well in Google. Well, it's terrible branding. And I think what a business needs to do with their name, I agree with you, it should be everywhere, it should be the same. And you want to be building out name recognition in your local market. So I think you want to pick a name that isn't the same as everybody else's name in your market, but also a name that is successful in the local search world. So who you are and sort of what you do, but in a way that's unique so that people can remember you. So I think naming is important. In terms of phone numbers, the consistency issue that we needed in the past to make sure that Google understood you based on your phone number. Phone number was a key in the database to tie all the records together. Google has become a lot smarter, so you can have multiple phone numbers now. And in fact, at Google My Business, you can actually enter multiple phone numbers.
Okay.
So I think call tracking has a place in marketing and has a place online, which gives you a better sense of how your various efforts are performing. But if you're going to do it, you want to do it carefully. So, for example, at Google, if you put a call tracking number at Google, then you want to be sure to put your actual landline in Google as a secondary number so that Google fully understands that these other businesses around the web with your landline are in fact you. So I do see that there is some room for some flexibility on the phone numbers, but I think you need to be disciplined about it. I wouldn't have a gazillion, I wouldn't keep changing them. I'd keep one for Google, one for your landline, and maybe a few others, but you have to be careful and disciplined about using them. Otherwise, like you said, your phone numbers will get all moved up. In terms of your address, obviously, if you've moved or if you're in an address that Google doesn't understand, that can confuse people getting directions, it can confuse Google. So one of the things I recommend that businesses do is they go in and they type in their address into Google and see if it resolves correctly. And they type in their business name and see if it resolves correctly. And then do the same thing at Apple on an iPhone, and do the same thing on Bing, and maybe even do the same thing on like TeleAtlas, so that you can see if all the cars that are using the in-car GPS is resolved correctly. I mean, there's nothing worse from a consumer experience than typing your business name in and being taken to the wrong spot. So I think, digital business 101 is making sure that you're, one, you have a good brand. Two, the phone number isn't as critical as it used to be, but three, that you are located consistently across all of the devices that people might use to find you. So when they come looking for you, they've read all your great reviews, they come looking for you, they can actually find you easily.
Okay. Yeah. So, hey, if you just join us, our guest today is Mike Blumenthal.
Hold it. If you've just joined us, you should go back and listen to the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike just gave away a lot of, tips and things you can implement to improve your business. So if you missed the first 10 minutes, please go back and listen right from the start. Mike is the founding partner at Gather App. Gather App brings your business together using customer reviews and feedback, and they make sure that becomes the backbone of your business, and for that matter, your customer experience.
It's a note about customer experience. I just want to point out that it used to be in the 50s when my father started his business that just having the product was enough. In the 70s, when I joined him, you had to have good product plus good service to have enough. But since Amazon has come around and they have product and, it's really easy to get the product, take it back, warranty, whatever, those things are no longer enough in a local business. You have to have good product, good service, great people, but you also have to offer something beyond that, which is what we call customer experience, to help you stand out in terms of your interaction so that people really do love doing business with you. Some businesses, that's harder than others. But it is the fact that if you can provide that sense of wonder that your customers can have about your business, that's really a critical step. Understanding what they think and appraising it honestly is part and parcel. Measuring that is part and parcel of getting there.
Yeah. Because for local business, sometimes it wouldn't make sense for a local business to compete on price and convenience. That one, Amazon and the likes of Walmart, because of volume and scale, they are able to do that. So you, as a local business, will have to look at the feedback you're getting from your customers, make adjustments, and see what really makes them tick. And that is what is going to make you stand out, because you can't compete on price and convenience as a local business. It's difficult. So look for your USP or your unique selling proposition or points, and just take it from there. Mike, do you have something to share on that one too?
I think your point is well made, and I think a business these days, if you're going to be opening a business, you want to maybe think about businesses that could provide a unique experience. If you've been in business and you're struggling, think about what you can do to make your customers' experience that much better. It's a tough world out there. My family business, we had to shut it down in 2001. We were selling hard goods, cameras, computers, and it got too difficult. And while we could compete on price, we couldn't get the volume we needed to succeed. So we closed their doors, and it was hard. But
so Mike, at Gather App, what are your main activities, and what's working and why?
Plus what?
At Gather App, what are your main activities? What is working and why?
At Gather, one of my main activities. Well, I've been fortunate at Gather Up to not have any direct responsibilities.
Oh, great! That is, you work on the business, not in the business. Would that be correct?
Yeah. I find projects that interest me, and I pursue them, and my partners seem to put up with me and let me do that. So I fortunately am not a VP of anything. I get to work on special projects. So some of those are sales, some of those are business development, some are product, and some is research. The research project I'm working on right now is looking at and categorizing by industry complaints, so that if you're in a given industry, you understand what drives people crazy.
Wow.
Becoming excellent is two pieces. One is it's fixing the things that are going wrong, and two, it's doing a great job. But you can do a great job most of the time, you're still going to have some unhappy customers. The question I was asking. So I just finished my first bit of research. I looked at 1,500 complaints about insurance agents in the insurance industry. And what we learned, insurance is an interesting business because it's most insurance is run by independent companies, independent business owners, but the insurance agent and the agency doesn't have any control over pricing, and they don't have any control over claim resolution, which is the service delivery after you bought insurance. All they do is help you buy insurance. So they fall prey to a lot of complaints they don't have any control over. For example, the biggest complaint in the insurance industry is the price went up, and well, the agent doesn't have any control over that. But what the agent, that's the biggest complaint. The second biggest complaint, though, is the staff was rude and the service from the agency was bad. Well, you have a lot of control over that. The third biggest complaint was I was left on hold. They didn't return my phone calls. They didn't get back to me. Well, those are another thing that business should have complete control over, which is being responsive to the customer. First is not being rude. Duh. I mean, it's like that's the biggest complaint you always see. Well, and then the second is returning people's calls, getting back to them in a timely fashion. That's the third thing. The fourth, though, was that people had problems with the way the national company resolved their claim. Well, again, the agent doesn't have anything to do with it. But number one and number four, which are related to the national insurance that you're selling, as an agent, you can, if you know that's the biggest complaint people are going to have, you can put in place processes that mitigate some of the pain that your customers are going to feel from it, right? So in the case of price rises, you should be meeting with your clients, customers every year well in advance of the renewal. They aren't surprised by the price. If their price is going up, if you're an independent agent, you could offer to get them different insurance, or you could alert them that the price is going up. If it's going up across the industry, well, that's just life. But at least you could ease the pain, so that's no longer the biggest complaint. So my goal is to pick market segments over the next 6 months and to understand what it is that drives consumers crazy in that market segment.
Okay. So what will be your biggest challenge in solving problems for your clients?
For my clients, I think for the customers that gather up, I think the biggest problem is having the time to fully implement quality control and customer experience cycle. I think that they end up viewing the issue very narrowly, and they don't allocate enough time to implement it correctly. Time is at a premium. Obviously, in small business, it's very difficult, but I think that they need to one, step back and view the bigger issues. How do I make a great business is the biggest issue. And then two, how do I put in place metrics to measure that? You can't fix what you can't measure. So you're also looking to understand where things are going wrong. As a small business owner, I always thought I was perfect. Obviously, I wasn't. And I think it's important to be honest. So I think the first thing businesses need to do is understand that quality is a bigger issue than whether you're just getting reviews, and to devote enough time to take full advantage of what's available out there.
So what keeps you at night? What keeps you up at night, and why?
Yeah, well, I wake up every night at 4 a.m. whether I want to or not. I have a shot of bourbon. I do some reading. I go back to sleep. But if I were to identify what keeps me up, I speak a lot. Our company has done a lot of inbound marketing where we're out on the talk circuit. We write a lot of blog posts. Really, we've done almost all of our business based on that. And so what keeps me up at night in that regard is getting ready for the next talk. As many times as I've spoken in my life, I still get very nervous, and I worry a lot about the talk I'm going to give and the content of it.
Yeah. So, Mike, you have really, shared a lot of nuggets with our audience. We have CEOs and other C-suite executives.
I'm sorry, what? I didn't understand.
We have CEOs and other, C-level executives listening. Are there any things that you can share with them that they can implement and see measurable results within a short time and as well as on long-term basis?
Sure. In GatherUp, I made a product decision years ago to include a metric called Net Promoter Score, so that a business using our product would, by virtue of using our product, would understand their Net Promoter Score. Net Promoter Score is a interesting standardized metric that's been widely used in corporations. It's been widely used in Silicon Valley. It hasn't been as widely used in local businesses. What it does is, and I'm sure you've answered this question, it asks the question, how likely are you to recommend me to a friend or colleague on a 0 to 10 scale? So the first thing it does, this simple survey, is it asks about whether the customer of the business is happy, but beyond happy, whether they're happy enough to recommend you. Then it groups those into 3 categories. The promoters, the people that are really happy, these are the people that are going to go out and tell their 10 friends and write a review. Those are the 9s and the 10s. The people that are kind of 6, 7, 8, they're kind of in the middle. You know, they'll probably do business with you, but they're not going to shout from the rooftops. And then it looks at the people that are unhappy and the detractors. And what it does is it throws out the people in the middle and compares the people that are really happy to the people that are unhappy. The people that have said they would tell their friends and colleagues to the people that won't. And that metric is what I call a word of mouth index. Word of mouth, whether through online reviews or whether true word of mouth, you telling a friend about a business, is still by far the biggest way most businesses get new business. Probably 60, 70, 80% of their business is coming from either offline or online word of mouth. This Net Promoter Score measures that. It gives you a concrete number that you can compare against others in your industry and gives you a goal that you can see improving. And so it gives you this understanding and predicts future income. So if I were to give any business a single piece of advice, is start measuring your NPS now and track it over time and improve it. Great.
So guys, you just heard it. It's called NPS.
Net Promoter Score, NPS.
Net Promoter Score. And Mike just took us through it. So make a note, and as a CEO, an executive, just pass it down your team and let them implement it. I wouldn't even wait tomorrow. I will start working on it today because the best time is now. So, Mike, are there any other thoughts that you would like to share with your fellow CEOs and other executives?
Are there what that I'd like to share? I'm sorry.
Any tips, any further tips or takeaways that you would like to share with them?
Business is hard, but if you focus on the customer, you focus on your employees, and you have something that provides a unique experience, you can be successful. But don't take your eye off the ball, which is creating that experience for the customer that really is outstanding.
Yeah, I think you have, throughout the this episode, you have you keep going back to reviews and feedback and how, you can incorporate that in your planning and decision making. Because I mean, that decision is like raw data that you have to take and use it in your decision making. It's not. I mean, it takes guesswork out of the situation. Would that be correct?
Yeah, understanding what your customers think and creating a business that makes them love you based on data is, I think, the way to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, Mike has taken us through a lot today, from SEO to how you have to implement reviews, feedback, how at the end of the day, you need to see how your customers view you, how they think about you, and whether they would recommend you to their peers or friends. And that is called NPS, Net Promoter Score. That score or metric, take it as your KPI. KPI, yeah. Or write it over post note, put it all over your computer in your office just to remind you. If you didn't take anything at all from today, take NPS and you will be good.
There you go.
Yeah. So, Mike, you have given the audience a treat, and we really appreciate you. You are very busy for taking time off your heavy schedule to be with us, and not just to be with us, but to share with us insights, tips, and takeaways that the executives who will be listening now or in the future can just take it and implement, and they will say, well, we got this from Mike Blumenthal. Mike, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. So we'll just wrap up, and I'll stop recording, and we'll just wrap up over what do you call it, off air, and then we'll just say goodbye. Just 1 second.